below 2,000, baby. Eden Palms, Monterey Road, I'm a project baby. Eagles Drive, we was at Oak Grove, barely graduated. We got Tasha, Molly, Bodie, Corbett, they gon' have to hate us.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the New Media Podcast. I'm your host. We hope you enjoyed the last episode because, as always, today's going to be a better episode. I got the whole crew with me. Everybody's in the house today, and Week 11 just got wrapped up, so it's only right that we talk about it. Before we jump into Week 11, of course, temperature check. How's everybody doing today?
Chilling, man. You know, it's cold weather.
Coming off this bye week, you know what I'm saying? We got a big game coming up next week against the Raiders, so let's go.
I can't lie. I'm not excited to come on here and give a little bit of a recap of what happened this past week, but of course, I got to be professional, and I got to jump right into it. We'll kick off with the very first game that started Week 11 for us. The Tennessee Titans going to Green Bay and win 27-17.
I don't think anybody had Ryan Tannehill going for 300-plus yards. I don't think any better would have went with that. But, I mean, it's the same story all season with this defense. We played 10 yards off them, and Ryan Tannehill just said, okay, fine. The 31st passing offense in this league just picked us apart. Absolutely picked us apart. And just to add insult to injury, Jaire Alexander on the last play of the game, Treylon Burks just dusted him. When we were thinking, oh, they're just going to run, and he just got dusted, and he caught the ball. And it's been the story of this team all season with this defense. We play 10 yards, we play soft coverage, and we just get picked apart. On the other side, offensively, I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't have a good game, plain and simple. The easy throws, Allen Lazard was open multiple times. Robert Tonyan could have got open a lot of times. I am happy for my rookie, Christian Watson. Again, he does it. He's been doing it for these last 2 weeks. Just an absolute end zone monster, and there's a lot of upside with him, man. Like, I love this kid a lot. He's going to be a stud for us in the future, and I just love the physicals. With Aaron Rodgers, man, he has to be better. It's plain and simple. Like, it's just, for me, it's a matter of when guys are open and you miss them, like, why are you flailing your arms? Why are you putting your head down? Like, you're the one that's missing them. No one else is missing them. You're the one that has the guys in these positions. And then Sammy Watkins, just one play. I got to see this guy out of my team. There was a play where he was running, I believe, like a crosser. He was running a flat. And this guy literally is just so slow, he couldn't even get to the ball by the time Aaron Rodgers had it in his hand. But that's just a separate play. Aaron Rodgers was not good. The ground game got bottled up. And Tennessee Titans, man, that defense is just legit. That defense is no joke, man. I mean, to me, last year, coming into this season, I think many of us thought, like, this team's going to fall off. Of course, Derrick Henry was coming back from injury. He lost weapons on the outside, and they continue to perform week in and week out. And hell of a job by Mike Vrabel, man. Just this team is just, it's good, man. It's legit.
Yeah, it's a crazy day when we see Tannehill outplay Aaron Rodgers, you know? Tannehill coming back from injury, threw for 333 yards, had 2 touchdowns. That worst pass offense in the league came in and had one of the best days of their season against the Packers defense, you know? And you summed it up about the Packers. Like, you said a whole lot of words. It was a whole lot of trash. And it just sums up that they're just, it's a bad season for them, and they're complete trash, you know. And like the run game, to me, 1 week Aaron Jones gets 20-something touches, and the next week it's, hey, we're gonna give you 11 touches. We're not gonna include you in the game. We're not gonna look at you. And it's like, he's a very high caliber type player, and it's like, it's crazy you guys are not using him well. So, but bright side, Christian Watson, you know, what was it, 5 touchdowns the last 2 weeks that he played in?
Correct.
Yeah, he's playing phenomenal. So the bright side, that's the only good guy like that's actually showing up. But Rodgers and Co. and the defense, it's shambles, very shambles.
I mean, I don't understand it. Abdi was so hyped coming into this week. He thought this was going to be the week where they run, turn the tables around and get back on track. And now the energy is a bit different when the week's over. But like I said, man, this is who the Packers are. The Titans, they have a simple game plan. You get Derrick Henry the ball, and the defense will, do his job, and that's the key to success. But nobody expected Ryan Tannehill to have the game that he did. But other than that, man, it's not like I have much to say about this game. I had the Titans winning, and I said for the rest of the season I'm going against the Packers. So I'm glad that this one paid off for me. But other than that, also Christian Watson. I mean, for Green Bay, it's been a new wide receiver one every week, basically. The beginning of the year is Romeo Doubs, and now it's him. So, it's just a bit interesting to see how that situation is going to pan out. Who's going to be the real wide receiver one? Nah, hell no. What do you mean?
Wait, he has 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Bro, that's fine, bro. That's fine.
But what's fine about that? Like, that's
The
5
catches,
touchdowns
hey,
in 2
those
weeks,
touchdown catches,
and those are
was pretty
very
insane.
impressive,
Yeah.
especially the end zone touchdown. Like the guy literally mossed him.
I'm not buying it because Romeo Dubs was looking the same, like looking exactly like that a couple weeks ago before he got injured. Just he had his highlights as well.
Why can't they
And
both be impressive rookies?
nah, I need to see more consistency. It's only just a little 2 game sample size. I need to see a little bit more out of it, but Christian Watson. But overall, this is a good one for the Titans, man. I can't believe it. They're sitting with the record of 7-3. What's their win streak at? They lost to Kansas City, but they've only
They
lost
won
one
like 4 out
game.
of the last 5, right?
Yeah, 4 out of the last 5 they've won, and 7 out of the last 8. Yeah, this team is nice, man. This is a good one for them.
And it was crazy. They were missing guys on defensive line. I think they were missing Jeffrey Simmons and a couple other guys on that defense. So they still just get the job done.
It was good to see Treylon Burks go for 7 catches and 111 yards, though. This is a guy that they invested in. They moved on from AJ Brown and they drafted this guy. So, for him to play like this and to burn Jair on that last play was very, very impressive. So overall, good win for the Titans. But we'll go ahead and move on to our first 10 o'clock game. The Atlanta Falcons beat the red hot Chicago Bears, or the red hot Justin Fields, 27-24.
It's crazy because the Bears, since like week 7, I think they're averaging like 29 a game. Justin Fields, even with him constantly under pressure from this terrible offensive line, and I feel like we've spoken about the lack of weapons, but I feel like the priority for this team is actually an offensive line. Like they gotta just fix the. Like, yeah, I feel like every time I'm watching Justin Fields play, this guy has to make some superhuman play for them to even score a touchdown or even for them to do anything. He's constantly under pressure. So that should be a number one priority for this Bears team. And he somehow manages to continue to rush for 80 plus yards, and he gets a touchdown through the air. And on the other side, shout out to Cordell Patterson. I think he broke the NFL record for kick returns. I mean, that guy continues to be one of the most versatile offensive weapons in the league. And I mean, Mariota played a clean game. It sucks that we just got news that Kyle Pitts might be reportedly having a torn MCL, I believe, or ACL, one of the two. MCL, sorry, yeah. So potentially out for the season. That sucks because, I mean, like coming back to next season, like they have to find a way to incorporate him into this offense. They probably have a quarterback change, but that was their premier weapon, and for him to still not even get involved up until this point, and now that he's gone, it's awful. But it's a good one for the Falcons.
Good one for the Falcons. Although Mariota, he only had, I think it was a combined 150 total yards in the game, but Cordell Patterson, big kick return. He played phenomenal, 10 carries, 52 yards. But Atlanta's game plan is always just, hey, run the ball, try to pound the ball, and just play defense. And that's what they did. Justin Fields, I feel like the Bears' objective to end the season, man, is to look forward to revamping that old line and getting him some protection and hopefully getting him another playmaker in the draft. So Bears got something to look forward to with Justin Fields, but good one for Atlanta. I think they're same record as the Tampa Bay, sitting at 5-5 right now in this division, or 5-6.
5-6.
5-6.
They're right there. They can get that division, division title. If they keep playing this way. But big loss with Kyle Pitts. But yeah, tough day for that. But other than that, going for them.
Yeah, it's a good one for the Falcons. I had the Falcons win over the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields, he ended the game pretty much banged up. I think he's dealing with a shoulder injury now. Offensive line has to be the key for this offseason with the amount of cap space they have, but also some weapons, man. It's pretty much on the same pedestal, man. Because if David Montgomery, running back's your leading receiver, is leading the receiving core, and with 54 receiving yards, that's just unacceptable, man. And Justin Fields being under duress every play doesn't necessarily help, but outside of that, the Falcons, man, they have an underrated defense. I feel like, even though they allow 24 points, I feel like each and every Sunday they make some sort of stop, some sort of crucial interception, some sort of crucial sack or fumble whenever they need it. So overall, this is a very, very good one for them. With them being in a very, very tight division with Tampa Bay, they might even have the opportunity to win that division or clinch a wild card spot. So it's a good one for the Atlanta Falcons. We'll go ahead and move on to our next game. The Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills won this one 31-23. The game was not played in Buffalo. They had to move that game to Detroit due to the crazy snowstorm that was happening in Buffalo, but the Bills on the road still get it done.
Yeah, I liked what I saw out of Josh Allen in this game. I feel like he did a better job of protecting the ball, and especially in the second half. As we know, they've had 3 straight games where they've blown a lead, and they did a much better job at protecting the lead, and I feel like they scored on multiple possessions in the second half, so that's a good win on their side. And in terms of the Browns, I mean, Jacoby Brissett, man, what a game that he had. I mean, Amari Cooper just dominated, 113 yards and I believe 2 touchdowns. I mean, Jacoby Brissett has just done what the Browns have needed him to do all season. He's stabilized this team, even if they're not getting as many wins as they like. He's done a good job of coming in and just controlling the ship. And Deshaun Watson's return is imminent. So, I mean, it was a good run from Brissett, but I am looking forward to see how this team looks with Deshaun Watson coming back soon. And with Josh Allen, I mean, this was a much needed win in terms of just getting your feet back onto the ground. Just a humbling win for them, because I didn't like what I was seeing out of Josh Allen recently, especially these last 3 games, in terms of just constantly forcing the issue, turning the ball over. They just protected the ball and they got the win. So it's good. It's good for them.
Good one for the Bills. The score, it doesn't tell much. It says 31-23, but they were up 31-10, I think, entering the fourth quarter. And the Browns, they got some garbage late time touchdowns. I felt like the defense held up. The defense for the Bills played phenomenally well. Josh Allen, he didn't do much in the passing game, but they controlled the running game with 171 yards on the ground. And they needed this one to get back on the ground. You know, they jumped from, what was it, the 6th seed back to like the 2nd seed in the NFC, top of the division again. This is a big win for them. So Browns, Deshaun Watson, is he back next week or the week after?
No, he's not back till December, first week of December.
I mean, sitting at 3-7 right now, it's like for him just to warm up and get used to that football field again, to come back, you know, next year and be prepared. But yeah, they're not really going anywhere anymore. And I'm surprised Nick Chubb only had 14 carries for 19.
He got bottled. I can't lie, he got bottled.
That defense, that front seven bottled him. So good win for the Bills, man.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the numbers right now. I didn't even realize Nick Chubb finished with 19 yards on 14 touches. But overall, this is a good one from the Buffalo Bills. I expected this one, expecting them to win simply because, you know, after losing last week, and especially with the way they lost last week, I knew Josh Allen was going to come out and play a much cleaner game. And the one thing I did notice was Stephon Diggs being visibly frustrated towards the end of the first half, but he ended up with that touchdown. But I feel like Josh Allen, he wasn't really trying to make it a point to get him the ball, but everything was flowing for them. You know, Devin Singletary was successful on the ground, and Dawson Knox was good today. It was good yesterday. Gabe Davis was good, and then Stephon Diggs finished with 4 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. So this is a good one for the Bills, just to, you know, move past the 2 losses they had to the Jets and the Vikings, and now sitting with the record of 7-3, still with, you know, trying to find their way back up into the top of the AFC. Right now, they're number 1 in the wild card spots. But, you know, because every other team in the AFC above them is 7-3. So this is a good win. This is a step in the right direction for them. They just got to keep the chains going. They got an easy one, supposedly an easy one on Thanksgiving, on the road against the Detroit Lions. So they just got to keep this thing going and stack up these wins, because the Chiefs, man, we'll get to them in a bit. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Eagles win a close one, surprisingly, versus the Indianapolis Colts, 17-16.
I mean, Jeff Saturday's Colts do not look that bad. I mean, the last 2 weeks they look pretty well, comparing to what they looked like early part of the season. And the Eagles, man, they I don't know, this game was just such a weird game. I think the Colts were up 13-3 in the third quarter, and then I believe they got a touchdown, and then Jalen Hurts late fourth quarter, he got a rushing touchdown, so it's good that they clutched up. But overall, the Eagles offense just, the rushing was just really Jalen Hurts. Miles Sanders was unable to get anything going on the ground. The other running backs as well. In the air was only Devontae Smith with 78 yards. So really, they didn't get anything in the air. This Colts defense was good. They did their job in terms of limiting this Eagles offense. And I mean, these last 2 weeks for this Eagles team, I don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing. Like, I expected a much better. Are they coming back down to earth, or are we expecting them to be much better? But I mean, for the Colts, I think yes, they did lose, but in the sense of Jeff Saturday has done a much better job with this team, and I feel like they're playing a lot more motivated. So I mean, it's looking for the bright side for them.
Man, the Eagles right now, man, back-to-back weeks. Last week an L, this week they skate by with a W. But you guys are talking about, hey, they can finish the season undefeated. They got this easier schedule, but I mean, that easy schedule is not looking so easy anymore. I mean, another game with the Redskins coming up, not the Redskins, the Commanders coming up. Another game with the Cowboys coming up. Another game with the Giants coming up. Man, they could lose a couple of games, and it just shows you right now. Team like the Colts with Jeff Saturday stepping in as a head coach, getting Matt Ryan back that starting position, Jonathan Taylor coming back from injury, and they're still fighting. So it's a I want to say a good one for the Eagles, but some look to look forward to with the Colts, So
I'm kind of stuck in between calling it a good win and just saying it was the way. I don't know what else to call it. I mean, I'll just say overall it was just a win for the Eagles. With of course, ending their winning streak against the Commanders on Monday night. To come in here, they lose Dallas Goedert during the week because of what happened in last week's game. It wasn't necessarily the cleanest game. Things weren't going your way, but they ended up finding a way in that fourth quarter to put up 2 touchdowns, and that was an amazing play call. I got to give it to Nick Sirianni, where Jalen Hurts QB sneak. He literally just walked into the end zone. So overall, the Eagles needed this one to get back on track. The pressure is still there for them to have a successful season because with them being at the top of the NFC. It's like a big target on your back. So everybody wants to come at you and bring the best at you. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Colts, man. Even though their record is 4-6-1, Jonathan Taylor has been better and better each and every week. He's starting to find the end zone. He's starting to hit the holes, and Matt Ryan finally being back at the starting position has helped a lot for guys like Michael Pittman. But Jeff Saturday and these boys, man, they might have a chance to sneak into a wild card spot. But the AFC. It's a pretty tight race right now, but overall, I'm just gonna call it just a win for the Eagles. Sitting at 9-1. But we'll go ahead and move on to an interesting one. I know we have a lot to say about this game. The New England Patriots beat the New York Jets on a game-winning punt return, I believe.
My God, what an awful offensive game, man! Like this was just. I will give Mac Jones credit in terms of he was moving the ball. Way better than the other quarterback on the other side, and we'll get to him. Mac Jones was able to move the ball, but I think the Patriots were 4-15 on third downs, which is just crazy. They're unable to convert third downs, and just on the other side, Zach Wilson. In the second half of this game, the Jets' offense averaged 2.77 inches a play. 2.77 inches, not yards, inches, like literally this much of offense. Like, if I'm a Jets wide receiver, like, I don't know what to think about Zach Wilson. Like, should I just take him out to the parking lot and just whoop him? Like, what should I do about this quarterback situation? Seriously, we called Elijah Moore disgruntled, right? People are saying he's a disgruntled. Why is he angry? I mean, this team's winning, right? And now all of a sudden, this team's starting to lose. And Garrett Wilson is talking, a rookie is like frustrated with the offense. So what does that say about Zach Wilson? I mean, we were talking about, oh, well, this team's getting wins, so there's no reason for him to complain. And now 2 of your wide receivers are complaining about this offense. What does that say about Zach Wilson? I told you I'll never believe in Zach Wilson. There's a reason why they were game managing with Breece Hall. And now when Breece Hall went out now, he has nothing. He is unable to do anything in this offense. His offense is just terrible. I mean, and for them, it's literally icing on the cake for the Patriots for them to get a punt return, the first of the NFL this year, and score and just go out and win the game. And Zach Wilson is just awful quarterback. And Robert Saleh, I think he declined on speaking about the situation. And then he came out and said he hasn't committed to a quarterback to play against the Bears. So that says a lot about the situation. When they had Joe Flacco out there, guys are able to make plays, and Zach Wilson's just an awful quarterback. I can't even continue to describe how bad this guy is as a quarterback, and I'll keep saying he's a terrible quarterback. I never believed in him, and I won't ever, at all. So
Zach Wilson, man, at the end of the game when they asked him, hey, man, it was the offense that you guys deserve the blame. He was like, nah, it just shows you right there that he threw for 70 yards, and I think in the second half it was minus 21 pass yards. And for him to come out and say that, hey, it's not our fault that we didn't win the game, blah blah blah. It's huge right there, and especially with Garrett Wilson coming out this week talking about, hey, we need to pass the ball more. We're not getting the ball more. Denzel Mims complaining, Elijah Moore complaining in the past. So it's not just one guy, 2 guys. It's three guys. All 3 guys you drafted the last 3 years, all in the first 2 rounds, complaining. So,
bro, Elijah Moore posted a picture on his Instagram, like his story of him throwing the ball. Like,
Oh yeah, I seen that.
I did see
what is
that.
what does that say?
It shows you that the receiver, like the offense is probably against him at this point. And it's like it shows you Brees Hall is a big figure of that offense. For him to be out, this Jets offense hasn't looked well the last 3-4 weeks since he's been out. So Zach Wilson, man, going down the gutter. You know, if they bring back Joe Flacco, these receivers might do something. But Patriots, man, Belichick, he knows when it comes to game plan. He knows how to shut down your team, and that's what he did this weekend. He got a punt return touchdown from a random person again, and it's like, hey, Patriots way, baby. So good one for them.
Hey, let's give some credit to Mac Jones, man. You know,
Oh
with all the
yeah. What was he? 23 for
23 to 23 for 27,
27,
246 yards.
230. Yeah, so I mean, it's cool that on the third downs they didn't complete a lot, but at the same time, at least he's moving the ball down the field and at least contributed to that offense. So much better than Zach Wilson.
And a couple weeks ago we were calling this game, mid off, and of course we get another terrible matchup between these two. But the reason why it's pretty simple. The reason why I had the Patriots winning this game is because I know what Bill Belichick is about defensively, and Mac Jones, he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. And the run game with Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, I know it's going to be successful against this Jets defense. I know they're a good defense, but Bill Belichick, man, whenever he lines up against the New York Jets and teams in his division, he always wants to bring the best out of his guys. So, but this whole Zach Wilson situation, man, he's not going to be the starting quarterback for them any longer. I think they should go. I don't know what direction they should go in. Did they bring in a guy like bring back Joe Flacco into the starting lineup, or you bring
Is
in
Mike White still there?
Mike White is still there, so I don't know if you go with him or you go with Joe Flacco, to be honest. But I mean, Mike White has had some success with the guys like Elijah Moore and stuff like that, so he wouldn't be a bad option. But once I heard Robert Saleh say that he declined to comment on who's gonna be the starter for this upcoming week, I instantly knew Zach Wilson's days as a starting quarterback are pretty much numbered, and he's done in this league. So overall, this is a very, very good win for the New England Patriots, sitting with a record of 6-4. Honestly thought that this team would not be sitting at a record of 6-4 11 weeks into the season, and I thought this was going to be Bill Belichick's last ride as a head coach. But each and every week he keeps proving me wrong with this team, and somebody new pops up and finds a way to help this team win. So overall, this is a good one for them. And the Jets, 6-4, man, they gotta figure it out because
They fall to the bottom of the division, right?
Yes, they fell to the bottom of the division now. The Eagles are in New England's one up above them, and the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. So being in a tight division like that, man, you can't afford to lose games like this. So it's a good one for New England. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The New Orleans Saints beat the Los Angeles Rams 27-20. The Rams season is pretty much over at this point, if you ask me.
Yeah, that Matthew Stafford concussion just capped it all off for the Rams about like the direction of the season and how everything's just been going just terrible for them. He was playing well in the first half. I'll give him credit for that. And they were up 14-10, and then of course the concussion happened. And I mean, Andy Dalton, like he paid the cost. Like I don't know what this guy's been able to do, but man, like he came in and he played well. Like show his coach, like, yo, I still deserve to start. And I believe Jameis Winston, he had a comment about it, if I'm correct, right? He said,
he was like, I got injured, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. He said something along the lines of that. It doesn't make any sense that like a guy doesn't start anymore because of injury. Like usually if you lose your job, it's a different circumstance. But I mean, Andy Dalton wasn't backing down. He came in and he played well. So it is a good win for the Saints. I mean, I've spoken about this team extensively this season. I feel like they could have had a lot more wins if they had consistent quarterback play and they weren't riddled with injuries. But Chris Olave, man, cooked Jalen Ramsey. Absolutely, just this guy's, to me, he's starting to become the front runner for offensive rookie of the year with the way he's playing. It feels like week in and week out, he continues to perform. Nah, we're not going to talk about Kenneth Walker. I mean, last week he got bottled up. So
Slow down.
He got bottled up last week. So
hey man, talk to him.
Chris Olave, I mean, week in and week out continues to perform even when he was riddled with injuries. So it's a good one for the Saints.
Oh yeah, like I said, the Rams, they're cooked food. Defense cooked, offense cooked. It just everywhere's cooked. You know what I'm saying? The Saints, they came in, they had a game plan. Control the game, run the ball. And Andy Dalton, it's 1 week is horrible, and then the next week, surprisingly, he throws for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns against a W. But I feel bad for Jameis Winston, man. I feel like he could have done more for this team. Although Andy Dalton just like he had a couple bad weeks, but at the same time, it's like, hey, it's not fair for him to lose his starting spot over an injury. But they came in, got a dub, and all of he cooked up. Jalen Ramsey got cooked that long touchdown pass down the middle. He just got dusted. So I feel like the Rams they sold the kidney, they sold the leg for that Super Bowl last year, and it's affecting them right now. Stafford probably done for the season with the concussion. Cup's already out, and there's nothing else to look forward to on that offense. So going for the Saints.
Yeah. Speaking about this Los Angeles Rams team, I think this might be the last time we probably see, you know, this group together. Aaron Donald's pretty much going to retire after this year. They might want to consider trading a guy like Jalen Ramsey, trying to get some value, some picks for him, some sort of value for him. Sean McVay, he said once these guys are out of the door, I'm right there behind them. So I don't know. I think they just need to after winning the Super Bowl, there's not much they can do after this. They basically sold everything they had for that, Larry O'B and not the Super Bowl championship. So honestly, the Saints, man, I don't know how to assess this team and overall this game, because the Rams are not necessarily a good team, but the Saints, man, they just keep hanging around in these games, and they're still with the record of 4-7. Their division is still very close, of course, with the Falcons and the Buccaneers, but Rams, you might as well just call it a season. And the Saints, they live to see another week, basically. So overall, this is a good one for them. We'll go ahead and move on to an upset this week. The 4-6 Detroit Lions go into New York and beat the New York Giants 31-18.
This one was very surprising. I didn't see this coming. I mean, we spoke about the Giants and how well they were playing all season, and I mean, they did, for some odd reason, this defense decided to show up this week and they bottled Saquon Barkley. They picked off Daniel Jones a couple times, and of course, they took advantage of the fact that this team doesn't have any real weapons on the outside. And offensively, I mean, Jamal Williams with 3 touchdowns, and St. Brown, he got involved, and I feel like the Lions finally they discovered a little sense of shame defensively. They did their job defensively in terms of taking away the Giants' best offensive player in Saquon Barkley. And I mean, it's a good win for them. And for the Giants, I mean, I don't think that they were expecting this. Maybe this humbled them because, I mean, for them to come in and allow one of the worst defensively, if not the worst defense in the league, to do this to them, it's just absolutely not possible, especially with how well they're playing. So, I mean, they got to fix up and come back next week. So.
I mean, yeah, good one for the Lions. I ain't gonna lie. We're gonna speak about Aiden Hutchinson, man. Is this guy sitting at 4 interceptions this year or 3? I think it's 4.
Aiden Hutchinson, I can fact check that for you.
Yeah, fact check that, but defensively, this guy been playing phenomenally well the last couple of weeks, especially since that Packers game, man. He's been cooking up. So good one for the Lions. They did what they had to. They came in, they stopped the run game. They took Saquon out and they forced Daniel Jones to throw the ball, which he did. He had a touchdown, 341 pass yards, but he threw 2 interceptions, and that's very crucial in a game like this. And the offense, man, 160 rush yards, Jared Goff game controlling 165. Very good one for them. Giants didn't probably expect this, tough division for them, and they can't be taking any more L's like this.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson has 20 solo tackles, 5.5 sacks, and 2 interceptions on the season.
Did he have 2 in the Packers game, or he just had 1 in that Packers game?
No, he just had 1 in the end zone.
Okay.
But speaking on this Giants team, man, we're doing overreaction and not a overreaction. When they were coming off their losses against Seattle, and I told y'all this might be the downfall for them. It was starting that week when they lost to the Seattle Seahawks, and they ended up bouncing back with the win the week after against the Houston Texans football team. We expecting them to come in and win that game, but same way here against the Detroit Lions, but now they lost to the Lions, and now they have the Dallas Cowboys on a short week on Thanksgiving. And then you have the Washington Commanders, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, the Washington Commanders again, Minnesota Vikings, and the Philadelphia Eagles. So, this is overall, this is pretty much a bad loss for them. The Lions pretty much, sitting with 3-game win streak right now. Daniel Jones, once again, I've been very critical about him not turning over the ball and stuff like that. And once again, what does he do? He turns over the ball twice this past game. So this is a good one for the Lions, man. Dan Campbell, he got his guys riled up and ready to go. Danny Jones finished with 341 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. A lot of that came in garbage time, so I'm not necessarily going to count any of that, but a good one for the Lions, man. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next game the Baltimore Ravens beat the Carolina Panthers in a very, very close one, 13-3.
I mean, this offense for the Ravens right now is just like it's a very hard watch without Rashad Bateman, especially. Uh, it's it's becoming laughable how easy it is to take away any source of offense in for the Baltimore Ravens. All you have to do is just Devin. I told y'all that Devin Duvernay gimmick was over. Like this guy's going up against cornerback ones. There's no way he's gonna win, and it's very easy for teams. Just double team Mark Andrews, and that's it. I mean, they have no speed on the outside with Rashad Bateman now. Devin Duvernay is not threatening anybody. The ground game is unable to get involved, and like to me, I don't know. I will give credit to the Ravens defense. I feel like they've been playing lights out as of recently. Just been playing phenomenally well. But of course, this game is Baker Mayfield tax. Anybody that plays well against Baker Mayfield, it's Baker Mayfield tax. So I got to include that. But of course, the Baltimore Ravens defense has been showing up, and this offense, man, it's just a tough watch without a lack of speed. At least in the past, in 2019, Lamar had speed on the outside. Now he doesn't have speed, and it's just Mark Andrews. And if Mark Andrews gets taken away, I don't know where this team's going to produce in terms of offense. So, I mean, the Baltimore Ravens, of course, are leading the AFC North, but at this rate, I just don't know how they're able to continue to compete. So,
Yeah, very slow offensive day for the Ravens. Man, they didn't really turn up to the end of the third quarter, and that's when they scored their first touchdown. Other than that, the game was very slow. You know, Demarcus Robinson had a couple big plays, but like towards the end, he was a nobody. Other than that, once you blanket Mark Andrews, stuff the box and stop the run game, it's very tough. It's very tough. And the Ravens, they do this every year since back in the day. They don't go out, they don't want a receiver, they just play with the guys they have, and it's like a next man up thing. I kind of feel like that culture has to die down for them. But this defense for the last, I feel like since week 5, they've been playing phenomenal. Ever since that Miami Dolphins game, they've been stepping up and they've been putting on some stops and putting on some crucial stops for the team, you know. But offensively, last 5-6 weeks it was just teetering, you know. It's here and there. There's some good showings and there's not, but we'll see. You know, they're sitting at 7-3 right now, number 1 in their division, but they're grinding through games. And Baker Mayfield, man, I ain't got to speak on it. I'm gonna keep it pushing. You're on mute.
you're muted.
There's not a lot to say about the Carolina Panthers, man. But I have a lot to say about this Baltimore Ravens team, man. This team is not built to win a Super Bowl. I almost feel bad for Lamar Jackson for what he has to work with, because you know we're looking at the matchup before during the week, and we're thinking, okay, this is a good spot for the Ravens coming off their bye week. For Lamar Jackson and this team to go a little bit crazy and put up a lot of points being at home, but that just wasn't the case here, man. You know, for them to be in a very sluggish game, with the Carolina Panthers team that's not very, very talented, and Baker Mayfield leading the way. We all know how bad he is and how bad he's been playing. But overall, for them to get a win in this situation, yeah, it's a good win for them. But the outlook of their season, like what are the expectations? Of course, they're probably thinking, making the playoffs and being successful, in the playoffs and making a push for the Super Bowl. But I just can't see that with this team. But aside from me looking far ahead, overall, this is just a good one for the Ravens, sitting at 7-3 at the top of their division. They need to keep getting these wins because the Bengals are starting to heat up and starting to figure this thing out for themselves too. So, good one for the Ravens. But we'll go ahead and move on to our last 10 o'clock game. The Washington Commanders beat the Houston Texans 23-10. This is, I think,
not much
another
to
win
say.
for them.
Yeah, not much to say about this game, but they did an absolutely great job at just bottling up Dameon Pierce, the only person to do anything for the Texans team in previous games. In this game, he just got absolutely just swallowed up. I think he averaged 0.8 yards per carry. It just got stuffed. They didn't let him breathe, and that's the only bright spot for this team in this terrible season for them. And he was unable to get going. And I believe Kendall Fuller had a pick 6 touchdown, so that's good for them. And I mean, the Commanders are putting together some wins here and there. They're piecing together some wins. Taylor Heineke has given them a lift. I know he didn't play like some sort of amazing game, but he had a clean game. He just did his job. And this team continues to churn out wins, especially defensively. I feel like they've been showing up these past few weeks. So it's a good win for the Commanders.
Good one for the Commanders, man. I just want to speak about the D tackle that suplexed Dameon Pierce in the middle of the game, man. he picked him up, flipped him over, and just body slammed him. I was like, yeah, they're coming for blood, man. That Commanders defense. Chase Young's activated this week, man. He's back, and they've been playing well the last 4 weeks. So we did speak about how the Commanders, man, they might sneak into the playoffs, and they're sitting at 6-5 right now. They're putting on the push. I feel like the minute they benched Carson Wentz, man, the energy shifted. And Carson Wentz I throw him down in that Baker Mayfield category as well. So going for the Commanders and Texas, man, #1 pick. Woo-wee. They're happy.
Hey man, I really wasn't buying the hype in the Washington Commanders after they beat the Packers a couple of weeks ago, but 5 wins out of the last 6 games, man. I hope you're a believer now. But overall, this is a good one for the Washington Commanders. Not a lot to say about this game. Like Abdi said, they're supposed to come in here and win this game, and that's exactly what they did. They had a great defensive outing against Davis Mills, and Taylor Heineke just did his job offensively, and they put up points on the board. So overall, it's a good one for them. 5 out of the last 6. They need these wins in a very, very, very tight race in their division as well, with the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys being so good. So they're fighting for a wild card spot. So they need these wins. So this is good for them. We'll go ahead and move on to America's game of the week that didn't end up being America's game of the week. The Dallas Cowboys demolished my Minnesota Vikings 40-3. I don't know, man. I don't got a lot to say.
So much for being contenders, right? Absolute domination by the Cowboys, man. You were talking about early in the season that this Tony Pollard gimmick. Well, Tony Pollard had more yards than your entire team. Like, that's just absurd to me. Like, contenders putting up 3 points. 3 points. What contenders put up 3 points in a blowout loss at home? Like, that's just crazy to me. I mean, on every single level, the Cowboys just dominated this Packers team. I mean, Dak had a flawless game. Zeke got involved in the end zone. Tony Pollard, of course, just looked amazing, explosive throughout the game, just making play after play. And defensively, Micah Parsons just absolutely harassed Kirk Cousins. I know there's no chain videos this week. No chain videos. None of that flexing stuff this week. We're not going to see that. No pushing P this week. So, I mean, it's I don't know how the Vikings thought that. I mean, all the Cowboys did was prove that spread was in their favor for a reason, and not only did they just blew up that spread. Like whoever had it going less than a touchdown, I mean that's tough. They opened that up like crazy, and the Vikings now have a negative point differential. That's crazy to me. Supposed to be contenders having a negative point differential. I mean, I'm just saying, man. Like that don't sound like contenders to me. But go on, Big H.
This guy yelled the other week when we did the preview, right? And we talked about the Cowboys-Vikings game. And he was coming in, he was like, Cowboys, they just lost to the Packers. What we're going to do to them is going to be abuse. What we did to the Packers, this and that. The spread's easy. That defense they give up big yardage. Me and Kirk Cousins was on the couch last week together. I don't know if he was at the game. I ain't going to lie. I did not see Kirk Cousins. I did not see JJ. Those two guys just disappeared. And the Cowboys, man, they're really contenders. I feel like teams are sleeping on this team offensively and defensively, man. Tony Pollard, big piece of that offense. Zeke, man, when it gets to the end zone, give it a fat boy. He's gonna score for you. And then you got Dak and you got CD and you got Don Schultz and you got Parsons. Parsons had a big catch where he just bullied like 4 people for like an extra 10 yards. And I was just like, Vikings very, very defeated. And, I feel like that Bills win they got a little high off of that, and it was kind of flimsy coming into this weekend. And they just got owned. So great win for the Cowboys and Vikings. They got to do something, They got to come back to the board and showcase what they're really about, and they didn't show it this game. So you're muted.
No, I'm here. This is what America needed. This is what the world needed. The world needed the Vikings to lose a game. Being on a 7-game win streak and beating every team we were supposed to be, and then we ended up going into Buffalo and winning that game. We needed a loss for America to have something to talk about for this week, because now leading all the way up until our next game, everybody's going to say a whole lot of gibberish about how we're not contenders and we're not frauds, as if we just didn't go into Buffalo last week and win that game the way that we did. But besides that, overall, this game wasn't good from start to finish, man. And I really have nobody else to blame besides our offensive line and partially our defense, simply because they weren't able to, slow down that Cowboys offense in the beginning. But then again, that just goes back to our offense not being able to sustain longer drives and, having to bring them back out our defense, 5-7 minutes, after they just got off the field. And The offensive line is poor, man. I think one of our offensive linemen, his name is Ed Ingram, man. He's the guy that stepped on Kirk Cousins' foot twice last week. That guy, he's gonna be working at McDonald's real soon, man. Because the way that he blocks, bro, it doesn't. I don't understand what he does on the football field. Like people just run through him, and like Kirk Cousins. Let me throw this number at you really quick. Kirk Cousins faced a 63% pressure rate, the highest in his career. And then for reference of how insane that is, Patrick Mahomes faced 37.5% pressure rate against the Buccaneers in the 2020 Super Bowl. So think about that. We thought when we saw Mahomes pretty much get abused against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that Super Bowl, and Kirk Cousins was double that against that Cowboys defense on Sunday. But overall, man, I'm not. Abdi asked me last week, how would I feel if we were end up lose this game, and I said it's fine because we got an important win last week, but I still kind of feel the same way, but I'm not. I'm actually pretty much upset. I'm a little bit upset with how we came out in this game, only putting up 3 points. I wanted it for it to be a closer affair, but I'm not sweating it, man. We got a quick turnaround, but against the New England Patriots on Thanksgiving, and I'm glad the world got what they needed, man. The world needed a Minnesota Vikings loss so they can talk about how bad Kirk Cousins is and how fraudulent we are. So it's good. Now we got the whole world against us again. We're just gonna have to prove everybody wrong once again. And it starts back up on Thursday. We're dealing with a lot of injuries. But I don't know how we're gonna have to overcome that. But overall, man, but besides my Minnesota Vikings, good win for the Dallas Cowboys, man. This is a statement win for them. OBJ was watching, he was tweeting about the game, and they're trying to make a push for him, and this was a very, very good statement win for the Dallas Cowboys. And Tony Pollard, man, he pretty much cooked my entire defense out there on the football field. So it was a good win for them, man. They needed this one, and they got it. So luckily, the Minnesota Vikings short turnaround Thursday game, Thanksgiving. So I won't necessarily have to think about too much about this game. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Las Vegas Raiders win in overtime against the Denver Broncos, 22-16. Davante Adams walk-off touchdown for the win.
Man, number 17 is just different. Number 17 has to remind people it doesn't matter if he's playing in Green Bay, he's playing in Las Vegas. It doesn't matter. He's just going to get the job done. And there's a lot of talk after their first matchup with him and Patrick Surtain. They crowned Patrick Surtain the best cornerback in the NFL, that he clamped Davante Adams. And what did Davante Adams do this game? Just absolutely abused him this game. Twice he cooked him for a touchdown, especially on the last one where he thought Davante Adams was going to go to the inside, and then he cut back out to the outside, and he was just cooked food by then. And so, I mean, like, I didn't see this being a coin toss. Like, this Broncos team, no passing touchdowns again. Like, Russell Wilson, like, it feels like we're just kicking a dead horse at this point. Every time we call him cooked, every time we call him washed, it's just like, why even say at this point? It's like, it's a known fact. It's literally the truth. And this Broncos team just looks terrible. Their defense tries and tries and tries. To me, it's a very solid defense, but there's only so much you can do. And Davante Adams, like, I don't have to say anything else about this guy. I watched him for years playing for the Packers, and of course, I'm gonna continue to root for him because he's one of my favorite wide receivers. This guy's just absolutely dominant. What a performance by him! He's just we talked about how Tyreek and Justin Jefferson have been playing all season, but he's 10 touchdowns and 925 receiving yards. Just amazing, man.
Yeah, man. Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams combined for 300 yards. That's like those two guys. They showed up. They played phenomenally well. And Broncos, I picked them on a coin toss, but hey, it's better for Seattle, man. If they keep losing, we get a top 5 pick. So, yeah, it doesn't hurt me. But Derek Carr came in and he didn't have a bad game. 370 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Davante Adams, like I'd be said, he's flying under the radar. 900 yards, 10 touchdowns. The only thing that's shadowing is the Raiders, that them playing horrible and all that, and all eyes are on Derek Carr playing bad. But DA is right up there. He's still one of the best receivers in the game. So it was good to see.
Yeah, this is a very, very good win for the Las Vegas Raiders. The outlook of their season after this one, I don't know what it means for them, but it's still a good win in their book. But man, Davante Adams, this is why I don't argue with people who have him as the best wide receiver in the league. If somebody tells me he's the best receiver in the league, I'm not arguing. I'm not disputing it. What he did on that last play, for him to play the DB's blind spot so well, he was so wide open. Like there was like he knew already. Like once he made the move, he was so wide open. The game was pretty much done. Like Derek Carr, all he had to do was get the ball over there, and the Broncos could all they were doing was just pretty much watching the ball, watching the wind pretty much fall out of their hands. Man, Devontae Adams, that's one special receiver. That's one deadly receiver. Like Abdi mentioned, man, with Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, what they've been doing this entire year, we haven't been looking too much about Devontae Adams simply because he's on the Raiders, but he's a red zone threat. Each and every week he's gonna put up his numbers, man, and that's the best receiver in the league. Outside of Justin Jefferson, man, it's just him and Da. But overall, man, the Russell Wilson, the Russell Wilson's time in Denver, man, it might be. I don't know if it's gonna be any longer than this, bro, because they're gonna
It would be kind of be embarrassing if you cut it short.
because they're gonna give it. They're gonna
46 million you just gave him. Like, you can't cut it short this early.
But this is what their plan is going to be. It's going to be very similar to Arizona. They're going to get rid of their head coach, right, Nathaniel Hackett. They're going to bring in another coach, and then if that doesn't end up working out, they might have to go in a different direction. But I think this is just who Russ really is, man. You know, this is the Las Vegas Raiders we're talking about. They don't have a defense. You're supposed to put up points against them, and he looked well last time when he lost to them in Las Vegas. So, I mean, I was expecting him to at least look a little bit better. But hey, man, you know, they're just not a good football team, and they ended up cutting Melvin Gordon this morning. Did he end up fumbling in this game again?
Probably
Is that why
did.
they cut him?
He fumbled, but
Yeah,
they
he
recovered.
did fumble.
They recovered though.
He didn't. Yeah, they recovered, but I think that was just the final straw with him.
There was already waiting. They was
Nah,
waiting.
like, they parted ways with him. He fumbled. He didn't lose a fumble.
They was
but
waiting
still
for that
cut
next
him, bro.
fumble,
So,
and they need an excuse.
yeah, that was the final straw, man. So, I mean, they have Javonte Williams coming back next year off injury, but this Broncos team, man, I called them to be a disappointment this upcoming season, and you know, I couldn't predict this in my wildest dreams. But overall, it's a good one for the Raiders. We'll move on to a surprising, interesting matchup between the Bengals and the Steelers. The Bengals win this one 37-30. I mean, Najee Harris, man, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. He might be back.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying this Najee Harris, but I mean, back-to-back weeks, he has looked good. I will give him credit for that. Joe Burrow, I mean, TJ Watt is just crazy. I mean, that interception is just ridiculous. But what makes me laugh so much about this Steelers team is when I watch them, right? TJ Watt gets a pick. He comes right back on the field 40 seconds later. It's like you don't even give him a chance, man. The guy literally got a pick, and 1 minute later he's back on the field. But I mean, the Steelers offense, nobody was expecting him to put up 30 points. And of course, Joe Burrow, I gotta give him credit, man. Without Jamar Chase, he still continues to produce, and they're heating up at the right time. If this team's able to hit its stride without Jamar Chase, it's only a matter of time when Jamar comes back. They look even better, and that's exactly what they need. T. Higgins, absolutely dominant game, and for the Steelers on their side, I mean, defensively, we know how they are. T.J. Watt's just gonna harass any divisional opponent. He's just gonna bully them, and he did his job. But of course, it's never enough for this team. With Kenny Pickett at quarterback, I feel like at the end they got a gimmicky touchdown and a little cute run, but I mean the Bengals to me had control of this game. So I mean another win. They're getting closer with the Baltimore Ravens, and it's a tight race. It's a tight race in the NFC North. In the AFC North, sorry.
Good one for the Bengals, man. My guy Joe Burrow, man, he came back after week 1 against the Steelers. After having 5 turnovers against them in that week 1, came back and dropped another 4 touchdowns on their head this week. So, he came in, him and T. Higgins, they hooped. The run game was non-existent, but they had control of the game most of the time. And the good thing about the Steelers, I felt like they're getting the run game back, and George Pickens, I feel like he's gonna be a good receiver next year. And, they vamp up that old line. They might have something working. George Pickens, that guy. He's crazy. So good one for the Bengals, sitting at 6-4, right behind the Ravens, and hey, they're in the mix of things. So great one for them.
Yeah, not much to say about this game, to be honest. I mean, obviously, I'm surprised with what the score ended up being. I couldn't believe it when I saw Najee Harris finish with 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe he had like 20-something fantasy points this week. That's what's pretty much shocked me. But Joe Burrow, man, for him to keep getting better and better without Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is set to practice this week. I don't think he'll be back this week, but the Bengals are, they're trending in the right direction with him coming back and, being in a tight divisional. He played bad, but I still believe that he was good enough to win him that game. And it just came down to, missed field goals and not reviewing that Jamar Chase catch at the 1-yard line where it was actually a touchdown, but that was on Zach Taylor. But I mean, Samaje Perine to finish with three 3 receiving touchdowns. Joe Mixon ended up with the concussion, but I heard he's going to be good to go. T. Higgins, man, he had himself one hell of a day. Nine catches, 148 yards. So he's really stepped up in the absence of Jamar Chase. And once Jamar comes back, his life's going to be whole lot easier. So good win for my Bengals. They have not my Bengals. Good one for the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a very, very tough game next week against the Tennessee Titans, 7-3 and 6-4. So that's a 10 o'clock game. I'm looking forward to that one. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. I think our next game is our Sunday night matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Once again, are we all surprised here? The Kansas City Chiefs win this one 30-27. Patrick Mahomes connects with Travis Kelce, I believe, on a 15-yard or 30-yard touchdown for the win.
Yo,
We're seeing the same thing
what
like
does
every
Travis
year,
Kelce have against the Chargers? Like, we got to find out like what they said to this guy, because it feels like every time I watch these two teams play, nobody can stop Travis Kelce. And there's a lot of chatter talking about, you match up Derwin James against him, and that's the best guy to be able to cover him, right? And Travis Kelce was not having any of that this game. I mean, just for him, and to me, I have to give Mahomes even more credit this game, because MVS had a disappearing act, did absolutely nothing. Mecole Hardman, we know he's injured. Kadarius Toney left the game with injury. Juju Smith, of course, he dealing with the concussion. And, like, just a multitude of injuries. And for Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter who's out there. He's gonna get the job done. Continues to make plays. And I mean, Travis Kelce, there's nothing more to say about him. I mean, the guy's an all-timer at the tight end position. There was a lot of talk on Twitter today if he's better than Gronk, and I feel like that's going to be a discussion in a season or two. I don't know, man. It's going to be a discussion sometime soon. But, I mean, Travis Kelce continues to perform against this Chargers team. On the other side, they absolutely harassed Justin Herbert. And, of course, I got to give him credit. He made a huge throw to Keenan Allen, and he marched down the field. But then again, at the end of the game, it just feels like the guy leading the NFL in fourth quarter interceptions. Like, it doesn't matter what happens in the fourth quarter, he's going to get interception. And I mean, he escapes a lot of criticism. He got his wide receiver one back, and he still lost the game. Like, at some point, do we stop making excuses for Justin Herbert? I understand he's extremely talented, but it feels like constantly whenever we talk about Justin Herbert, it's he doesn't have enough. This might be the third year in a row he's missing the playoffs. So.
Man, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, like that too is just whenever they see the Chargers, man, they get up, you know what I'm saying, come to the game and they're ready. They come to play, and it just shows you that Mahomes he's levels ahead of a lot of quarterbacks. It doesn't matter how much time's on the clock, he's gonna march down that field and he's gonna give you a touchdown, or he's gonna put your team in a position to win. And we've seen that. And Herbert again, man, I don't know, man. He got his, although Mike Williams did leave early in the game. He got Keenan back, and Keenan was kind of involved. 5 catches, 94 yards. Joshua Palmer had a big day. 8 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Eckler had almost 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. And it just, to me, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception like this, I don't know. I feel like he got to give it more, And to me, that last interception, he just threw it up and prayed for something to happen with 3 players in the area, and they got picked. So, and they're going to miss the playoffs again 3 years. And a lot of people are going to say, well, it's not Herb's fault. They're not going to put the blame on him, and they're going to keep pushing. But when is the blame going to fall on him for some of these games? And I'm just waiting for people to see that. So good one for the Chiefs, man. It's cruising at 8-2 right now. They chilling big time.
Yeah, bro, I was watching that game, and that was the last 2 drives. So basically, when the Chargers were marching down the field and they ended up getting that touchdown, I think there was like 1:45 left on the clock. I instantly knew it was going to be Mahomes or Travis Kelce, one way or another. I had no faith in the Los Angeles Chargers to get that win. They're just better on TikTok. His name is Booker with Trent. He has a surgical 6 going, and the last game was the Los Angeles Chargers to money line, and that guy, he's just walking bad luck. He's a walking curse. But back to the game. This is just rinse and repeat. What excuse are we gonna pull for Justin Herbert? It was the weapons, right? It was the defense not being able to step up last year for him, and they went out and spent all that money, made all those trades to get him a better defense. His weapons came back this week, even though Mike Williams left, like Big H mentioned, but still you have Keenan Allen and Joshua Palmer stepped up, and so. What's the excuse now? Like, I feel like we keep giving this guy a pass year in and year out. The first couple of years, yeah, it's cool, let it go. But this is the 3rd year in a row now. You're sitting at a record. I believe they're sitting with a record of 5-5, if I'm not mistaken. Let me fact check that before. 5-5, and they keep on losing to the same team who's at the top of the AFC with the Kansas City Chiefs. This game was winnable. They could have won this game. All Justin Herbert had to do was not turn over the ball on that last drive where you had a couple timeouts and you have a little bit of time left. Patrick Mahomes pretty much had nobody out there. Sky Moore was one of his best receivers. Some tight end named wide receiver named Justin Watson, tight end named Jody Fortson, and of course MVS did pretty much nothing. Jared McKinnon and then Noah Gray. Kadarius Toney got injured as well, so like he was pretty much working with nobody outside of just him and Travis Kelce, and it's pretty much embarrassing, man. Charger fans are pretty much asking why Derwin James wasn't on Travis Kelce. That's a mismatch, bro. No matter which way you cut the cake, bro. Derwin James cannot hold Travis Kelce on even on his best day. But overall, man, this is a good one for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers, fighting for a playoff spot. They needed this game. They really needed this game to get back on track. And you pretty much have all your guys back outside of Mike Williams, and you're still unable to get this win against Patrick Mahomes, who's pretty much playing with his hands tied behind his back, and it's just him and Travis Kelce. So this is embarrassing on the Chargers. And Brandon Staley's supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach, and you're still not able to scheme up a good defense, a good defensive game plan. It just goes to show what type of head coach he is and what this franchise is really about. So I'm just really tired of giving Justin Herbert a pass. A lot of guys could have gone to win against the Kansas City Chiefs in that situation. So good win for the Chiefs. We'll go ahead and move on to our last game of the week, week 11. The San Francisco 49ers pretty much demolished the Arizona Cardinals 38-10 in New Mexico City, I believe. That's where the game was played.
I mean,
George Kittle, man, his resurgence.
I mean, this Niners offense, Jimmy G had a clean game, man. Jimmy G came in, he had his pink suit on. Guy looked fresh. Jimmy G, man, a guy always looks fresh, but came in and he played a great game. 4 touchdowns. Just Kittle looks resurged, like you mentioned, and even Debo got a rushing touchdown. Ayuk got a touchdown. McCaffrey was involved on the ground. Like, it feels like everybody just got involved in this offense, and that's what's going to be scary about this team the most. If everybody's able to get involved, like, it's going to be lights out because they have a bunch of playmakers all across, and of course we know that defense, they're always going to be good with Nick Bosa, but I mean, the Cardinals is just like what Big H mentioned. Like, they're just not a good team. He had them finishing 5-12, and I feel like they're on track. I mean, maybe they might get 2 more wins to end the season, but who knows? They're just not a very good team. And I mean, the Niners took advantage of that and they just pummeled them. So,
man, that Niners offense, man, everybody had a touch. It went from Debo, Ayuk had 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey was involved in the receiving game. Eli Mitchell came in and he was just hitting the lanes, man. Every time he touched the ball, it was 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards, and Kittle, and finally they let him loose. Like, this is what Kittle, back in 2018 was, where he was playing as a tight, like a true receiving tight end, not blocking 24/7. It shows you if this offense can hit on cylinders, they can be a dangerous force in this NFC run, big time, a big dangerous force. So, Cardinals, you know me, man. You know what I said about the Cardinals, but 3-12, 3-13. So that's about it.
Yeah, this is a very, very good win for the San Francisco 49ers, man. Jimmy Polo, man. Niners fans have been very critical about him being their starting quarterback, but this guy's a winner. I tried telling a lot of my friends who are Niner fans that this guy knows how to win games. He's not the greatest quarterback and he's not the worst quarterback. He's just like a very, very average quarterback, a very, very good game manager. And today, a lot of his touchdowns came off yak. George Kittle taking it to the house a couple times, and he found Ayuk twice down in the red zone. But Cardinals, there's not much to write about this game. No Kyler Murray. Rondale Moore pretty much got injured on the first play, and Marquise Hollywood Brown still not ready to go. So D-Hop did pretty much all he could, and Cole McCoy tried. But the Niners defense, man, that's why they're one of the best defenses in the league. Even though they're a bit banged up tonight, and they've been banged up all season, they still know how to step up with the guys that they got. And so it was good to see this Niners offense pretty much hit on all cylinders tonight, because we saw a little bit of Christian McCaffrey, we saw a little bit of Debo Samuel, we saw a little bit of Brandon Ayuk, we saw a little bit of George Kittle. So the potential of this offense, we're seeing it. We just saw this right now, and we can see it for the rest of the season. So this, I'm not necessarily saying I'm scared to play this Niners football team. I want to play this Niners football team, but they're hitting stride at the right time. So this is a good win for them. They have they have a record of 6-4, right behind the Seattle Seahawks, and they have, I think, one more matchup with them later on down the road. So they're trying to they're above you guys right now.
Pretty sure they're 6-4 as well.
Oh, you guys have the same. Oh yeah, you guys are both 6-4. I didn't know that. Yeah, so now they needed this win, and Seahawks are coming off their bye, and now we have an interesting divisional race between those two teams. We know the two teams below them have fallen out of the race between the Rams and the Cardinals, and it's going to be a fight to the finish. Who knows? Both teams might end up making the playoffs, and they're just probably fighting for a better seed. So that's probably what might end up happening, in my opinion. But good one for the San Francisco 49ers. That pretty much wraps up Week 11 of the NFL season. The bye teams this week, I forgot to talk. I couldn't find them on my list last week, but the Jaguars were on bye, the Dolphins were on bye, Tampa and the Seattle Seahawks were on bye, and so those teams will all be back in action. Next week we have this is Thanksgiving week, and we have a Thanksgiving slate of games. I believe the Bills are on the road in Detroit, the Cowboys and Giants in Jerry's world, and my Minnesota Vikings are on Thursday night to close out the night against the New England Patriots at home. So any final words, fellas, before we close things out here?
Man, I hate the Packers.
We're going to have a special guest after we beat the Raiders next week on the podcast, so stay tuned in.
Okay. Stay tuned for that, man. You heard Big H. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and close things out here. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Really appreciate your love and support. We greatly appreciate it if you like, commented, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Media Podcast. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, all of our social media handles will be in the beginning of this video. And if you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, if you go to our Instagram page at New Media Podcast, you'll be able to navigate yourself to all of our social media handles there. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lakes, now that's overkill.